This is a D6 generation pip. Bite-sized content for a busy gamer. Sometimes featuring Craig, sometimes featuring Russ.
Hey, what about me?
Oh yeah, and sometimes featuring Rafe, Hollywood Granger.
D6G Hot Take.
Hey, welcome back to another D6G Pip, one of my hot takes. This time, I would like to reintroduce you to Teras Cassidy, the man behind Geek Nation Tours. Teras, how are you?
I am excellent. Traveling
Awesome.
again, seeing the things.
Seeing all the things. Awesome.
That's right.
So Geek Nation Tours, for those of you who may not know, have been with us since almost the very beginning. And I mean, some of my fondest memories have been completely tied in with you and Geek Nation Tours. Teras, some of the stuff that we've done in Chicago at Adepticon, the things we've gotten to do at Gen Con. It's just been awesome. And so before we get reacquainted with you and how you did over these last 2 years and how things are now starting to pick up, I want to start with a real high point, and that would be the first major convention, miniatures convention, in 2 years or more, actually. So how was Adepticon?
It was spectacular. That was actually my first time. I've been traveling for almost 2 years, actually. So, or more than 2 years. The last time was in February when I went to Estonia on our Frostgrave tour. But February 2020, right? So, yeah, Adepticon was spectacular. I had a little trepidation myself about how traveling was going to be, like what it was going to be like. And of course, I had to test before I left and upon my return. So I was really nervous about getting tested before I even went to the airport. So I put myself in a chamber and stayed away from my family and friends for a couple of weeks, even before Adepticon. But when I actually arrived right into the midst of a cheerleading convention. I got there early, so it was. I walked in normal, and the hotel. I've got a sensitive nose, so I walked into the hotel. I smelled, and I was like, "Wow, the hotel smells exactly the same as when I arrived last time."
Yeah.
And I walked up, and there was a sea of kids, cheerleader kids. Like we're talking maybe 14 at the oldest, like young cheerleaders. Okay. And their moms specifically, and some dads that looked probably as lost as I did. And then I walked to my room and got through all of those people, and then I waited a couple of days. My pre-tour, I had a pre-tour this year.
Oh, nice!
So we did some cool stuff in Lake Geneva. And then we went to Adepticon proper, and everything was excellent. Like people were polite and happy to be there. I think that was the general vibe was just one of happiness, just one of being able to be with people, touch people, not in a weird way, but to be able to hug people again and to be with people. And people were just happy that they could hang out again. So
that's awesome.
One other quick comment about that is that oddly, I think that everyone at one point during the con said last year we did it this way. Uh-huh. So it was like that time didn't even exist in between. Right. That whole pandemic time didn't even exist. Yeah. So it had that vibe too. Like it was just like we're back.
Like no time had passed at all.
Right.
That's awesome. What were some of the things that were old favorites that were there still?
Sure.
Some of the things that you did.
Sure.
I didn't get to go this year, so I'm living vicariously through Teras.
Yes, of course. You were there. I played Space Hulk with those guys.
The laser tag
VOD
Space
guys. I played Space Hulk, and their old hats at their Space Hulk thing. It was spectacular. There was 6 of us playing versus 3 of them. So we were the Terminators or the Inquisition or whatever, and it was wonderful. And it was just like the old days, and their setup is always second to none anyway, and that was exactly the same.
Okay,
so
that's the terrain, right? They set up these beautiful boards, so it's like old school Space Hulk, but it's not it because wasn't there there was a laser tag event?
Right, there was,
but that's not what you're talking. You're talking about that old school, the really cool. Like, I mean, the terrain is awesome, and okay, cool.
And not it's not like the cardboard cutout things with Space Hulk proper that you get out of the box.
Right.
It was solid terrain.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Yeah, no,
they did a hell of a job.
Looks like a movie set.
Yeah, it was it was like a movie set. I mean, you get down there and take some pictures, and it's like, wow, we're there,
in a Space Hulk.
In a Space Hulk trying to kill aliens for the Emperor. So. Yeah, I think that was one of my highlights. We do gaming on the tour itself too, like at night. So I got to play 2 games that I've one that I haven't been wanting to play for a long time, and one that I hadn't played since the 80s. So
really?
The one that I have wanted to play for a long time was Star Trek Ascension. So we got to play that. I was the Klingons. We lost. But we had a glorious time destroying Ferengi ships over and over again.
A glorious loss seems right up the Klingons' alley.
That's right. It was. And so we were okay with the loss. It kind of like the orcs run away and in order to fight another day. So it was great. It was. I would play that game again in an instant. It felt like Trek, like it felt really Star Trek. And then the other one was I brought the Gale Force 9 remake of the 1979 game Dune.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yes, the old Dune, the Avon Hill game back in the day. And it is spectacular.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a spectacular game. It's long, but I mean, Star Trek Ascendancy was long too, about 3 hours ish.
Yeah.
But it felt like Dune. Like it absolutely has that Dune vibe. So
awesome.
Those 2 were one of my huge highlights, which is odd because they're board games in a miniature wargaming convention.
Yeah.
So gaming wise, those were my highlights.
Awesome. How about the painting? Did you take a walk through like the 40K or the what is it now? Age of Sigmar halls where a lot of the crazy painting can be seen?
All the painting was stellar, just like normal.
Yeah.
Like just some of the creativity is amazing.
Yeah.
All the creativity is amazing actually, and the armies were stellar. So much effort went into all of them. The Golden Demon was held there too, and even the glass cases that they actually built for the place was for the event was amazing. Like just lighting and glass, and you put your miniatures in there, and everybody was like spellbound by the miniatures as normal. And I think they actually might have had even a bigger setup than in years past.
Yeah.
So I think that part was pretty awesome too. That was amazing.
That's awesome. How about one of my favorite things were always the team tournament display cases and just the display bases that they build that are just way over the top sort of scenes. Did you see any of those, or any of those like stick out?
That's on my bowling night, so I didn't see any that night. I know that they had them there though, I know that people were excited about it. So I can't tell you exactly what was there, but people did have that experience was still there too.
Cool.
And getting together for gaming was good. Everybody didn't. I was worried that there would be. People wouldn't be able to people anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like everybody's been gone for 2 years, and I was actually worried about myself about being able to people.
Right.
But it was fine. Everybody was right into the gaming spirit. I think it might have been actually a little bit more polite and
oh, really?
than years past. Like,
not
I think
you.
it was
You would not be able to be any more polite. So that would actually be sort of like a polite singularity. But what you're saying is other people were more polite than usual. I get it. Well, that makes sense.
Thank you for saying that, but I don't know if that was really the case. Yeah. Well, I tried desperately, but I was worried about it. I got to tell you.
I think that makes perfect sense. It's a very insightful thought too.
Yeah.
Like that after 2 years, how are people going to act around each other?
Right. Exactly. Things have been a little bit polarizing in the last little bit in some corners, but I didn't see any of that standoffishness or any of that at all. I thought it was, I think it was more polite than it's ever been before.
Nice.
I think people were just happy to be there.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Adepticon again. The vendor area was great too.
Yes.
It was maybe a little less busy vendor wise than years past. I think that could have been varying reasons too. There's a lot of trepidation still out there about traveling anyway,
right?
And so I think the vendors probably had that too. I mean, you have to be around people to be a vendor. You can't even say, you know what, I'm done for an hour, I'm going up to my room. You can't do that. So I think there was a little less vendors, but there's still plenty to buy. Like there's still stuff to look at and gawk. And
how about that Bits guy? Was that Bits guy out in the hallway there? Oh, nice.
He was there. The first one open as usual.
I was going to say, and the last one to close, I bet. I can't tell you how many hours I've spent just perusing those giant bins of bits.
Exactly. And that's another one that I was a little bit surprised with, because you need to kind of be in close quarters in that store. Like you need to be really close to people. Yeah. And I was like, I wonder if he's going to be as busy as he has in the past. You got to dig through shit while someone's digging through shit beside you and stuff. Oh, excuse me.
It's okay. You're a Canadian. You're allowed 2 of those, so you're good.
I just did it.
Yeah. From now on, it'll be boop.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he was just as busy as usual. I think that people were close and not stressing it too much.
Yeah.
So I think that people were still respectful and were still there was concern. You could tell that there was a concern. Yeah. But I don't think they were going to let their concern stop them from the experience, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, I think it sounds like everybody was they were good little travelers.
There were. Yeah, for sure they were.
That's awesome. What about the deep dish? Tell me about the deep dish, Teras. It's been 2 years, and it's gonna be at least another year for me.
The same delicious as ever. I was just actually I just got back from Star Trek convention too, and it's funny because the people from New York are always like, I don't know if that's real pizza, it's like a casserole, and I'm like, it doesn't matter if it's real pizza. No, it doesn't. It's delicious.
Exactly. It's what you get when you order Chicago deep dish. And just because it's not what you call pizza, that's what I want when I say Chicago deep dish.
That's right. Exactly. It's like, it doesn't matter. It was still as filling and as delicious as it always is. My mom gives me a hard time that I can't bring it back for her. So
well, that makes
I say,
sense.
No, I could put it in my carry-on, but you probably wouldn't want it after that.
Not after that. Where did you go? Where'd you go for your deep dish?
Lou Manati's.
Oh, of course.
So, Lou's, it's good. It's a good fallback there. They come to us, so that's kind of nice.
That's even
Sunday.
better. Yep.
So I don't have to worry about getting my crew to anywhere. So that's kind of a nice thing too. So, but yes, awesome. Deep dish is wonderful. The Chicago airport was great. There was no problems with the Chicago airport.
Which airport do you guys use?
O'Hare,
right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like every time Russ and I would do our traveling and arrange our flights, we would hit the wrong Chicago airport. So
you go like Midway or something?
Well, it was, that? I mean, Adepticon, as you know, Adepticon's shifted where it's been several times over the last few years. And whichever airport was farthest away from wherever it was that year, that's where we would go. So, whoa, we're going to be at Midway. Oh, we're going to be at O'Hare. No, but that's cool. How about hot dogs? Did you go for any hot dogs?
I didn't, but someone near me had a hot dog, and I'm like, see, I'm pretty fussy though now. See, since my last, when I brought my wife and my daughter to Adepticon a few years back before the pandemic, we did go out for Chicago hot dogs, and since then I've been making them all through the pandemic. As a matter of fact, I've been making my own Chicago hot dogs.
Really?
Yes, so I do the whole thing, lots of vinegar stuff. So more vinegar, the better on a hot dog for sure. So you got your mustard, which has vinegar, your relish has vinegar, your hot peppers have vinegar. Anyway, the whole
lot of vinegar
that you put on top is vinegar, right? But I use bratwursts instead of instead of hot dogs.
You? That must change the taste a lot, though.
It does a little bit, but all that vinegar.
That's good. So basically, you're getting yourself a little vinegar. Well, I don't know. Now, Teras, where do you stand on the whole debate? I mean, as we've already said, it's been sort of divisive lately, and people are trying to be polite. So I don't really mean to inject something that could really just shut down this interview. But where do you stand on the whole is a hot dog a sandwich debate?
Oh, I see. Wow.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mean to blindside you with this. I usually try to give people a heads up. It just happened organically.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah. But I'm still a little bit pissed off about it.
I'm sorry. I feel bad.
No. It was actually I think it's I think a hot dog and anything in that shape of a bun is a thing of its own.
Okay. See, now
I don't know
you just cut off all of my counter argument. Like, is a taco a sandwich? Because I would say no. So I agree. I think we're in accord, Teras.
Okay. Good. Wow.
Okay. So
I'm lucky it didn't turn into fisticuffs.
No, they would have reached right through this screen.
That's right.
Which we should also say. I've been meaning to say this too. I think one of the strangest changes for us all recording things is that back before the pandemic, we wouldn't be doing this like on screen, seeing each other. Like, I mean, you guys listening, you can't see either of us because I'm old school and I don't know how to get this video to you like Russ can. But
I look terrible anyway. So.
Teras hasn't shaved. He's in some sort of weird velvet dressing gown. It's very odd. That's true. It's very odd.
Wish you wouldn't tell people that.
No, I know. Well, it's awkward, but at the same time, his Victorian decorated bedroom is behind him. It's really a little odd. So actually, what I'm saying is that it used to be a little more. There was a little more polite distance between the interviewer and the interviewee, and now in the land of video Skype and Zoom calls and whatnot, now we're all looking at each other the whole time. It's much more awkward to do an audio medium, but like you can see the person. What am I going to do with my hands? Well, luckily my microphone is breaking, so I'm just holding that so it doesn't fall. But so. Yes.
I would agree, but you know what? One thing that I think the pandemic was a terrible time, and I think that it did give me a few things.
Yeah.
One of those things was to role play. Like I've role played with you guys for a while. I've role played with several other groups too. I think I did more role playing over the last 2 years than I ever have. Even when I was in high school or whatever. And I think it's a great medium, and the medium has changed. The gaming medium has changed quite a bit. So
yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I was with you in that group with Russ early on, and then you and I both left at one point or another, and then I went back to it. So I've been doing that. It's really weird because Russ is doing, I think, 3 different games. Wow. And I know that my friends Joe and John are doing at least 2 or 3 different, like everybody's doing multiple campaigns now because there's no travel time. Your game time is actually pretty set. And and you get because of the video element, you do at least get that social aspect where you get to feel like you're hanging out with your friends. And so I think that was absolutely a positive. The technology that supports it, right? Which really wasn't as universal beforehand.
That's right.
So
exactly.
So
you can't fight over the bag of chips. You only have to have
you have to bring your own. And then you can taunt people because they don't have your chips.
That's true. That's true.
So speaking of the pandemic and going through the pandemic and what we did, I do want to touch on one more thing for you,
Sure.
Personal life wise, and then I want to talk about Geek Nation tours, of course. This is going to make fantastic radio, but Teras took the time of the pandemic to learn how to make terrain, like insane movie miniature level terrain. And you can't see it, but I can. It's because it's behind him, because he's not really in a Victorian era bedroom. He's in a massive game room with game tables behind him. And there's the Ghost Archipelago board that he used that you did send me a couple pictures. So if you send me a couple more, I will tweet them out when I announce this, because I think that would be cool.
Sure.
It's just fantastic. And just, it's got all kinds of different features. It looks like Land of the Lost, Revenge of the Dinosaurs, Jurassic Park level stuff. Could you just say one thing that you learned how to do that brought that table to life? That you took your time to, you had all this free time.
Sure.
Probably didn't feel free. It probably felt like it was weighing down on your shoulders. But what's one of the techniques that you decided to learn to build that table?
Water effects. That was the big one.
Yeah.
That was the scariest one. Like, because water effects you do the very last.
Right.
So you build everything. Like you build your cliffs and your, whatever else you're putting there, your ruins and the river itself and where the water is going to come from. And it's practically done.
Yeah.
Like you can even put the trees in. I think I had most of the trees in and everything before I even did the water. And so it's practically done, because you need everything painted before you put the water on top, because the water is, of course, clear, right?
Yeah.
But I can tell you that was one of the scariest times I've ever had in modeling, for sure, because I took days and days just reading instructions over and over and over again to make sure that I got it right.
Well, you don't want to ruin everything you just built, right?
Yeah, that's right. You're going to ruin it if you don't get it right. So, but in retrospect, it's not as hard as I thought. It is. I think it'll always be a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, but it's not. The techniques itself are not hard. Like you mix resin together, make sure the bubbles are out, pour it to a certain depth. You need a calculator, but Woodland Scenics has a great app for the calculator.
Oh, really?
Tells you how much you need and everything, and it's you have to do it over a course of a few days, depending on the thickness, right? And then the waterfall is another thing. Like you have to really make sure that you get the waterfall right and everything. So the waterfall was, again, another learning experience. But for sure, water was the one that
is there a hack or a secret you learned? Just like one thing that you could pass along to people out there that are starting to think about doing water on their own, maybe?
Don't be scared.
Yeah, that's the hack. The hack is
that's the thing. Don't follow the instructions and don't be scared. It'll work out. One thing. I'll give you a good example of that, and it is a kind of a hack. So, Woodland Scenics has the water and everything like that. But if you get Mod Podge at the end, you get some Mod Podge, the
poster glue,
clear Mod Podge, but gloss Mod Podge.
Okay,
the glue.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So you're done. Your water's all set. Everything's done. You got poured it to the level you want. Then you take this Mod Podge and you actually just put a layer of Mod Podge on top of the water that you've just made. Right. Then you take a airbrush and you spray the Mod Podge around.
Okay.
So you just Mod Podge it, spray it around, and it looks terrible. It is absolutely more frightening because you've done all the layers. You've done all your terrain. You've done all the layers of water. The water looks great because it's just sitting there. And then you put this gross Mod Podge on top of it, and you're spraying it all over the place with your airbrush. Yeah. Nothing's in your airbrush. It's just air.
Okay.
So then you walk away, and it looks like you've got this, well, think about it, white glue on top of something clear.
Right.
Like
looks pretty gross.
Yeah. But as the Mod Podge dries, it clears. and then you get this ripple effect on top of the water.
Nice.
Especially it's perfect when you have a waterfall, right?
Yeah.
You want the motion of the water,
right?
And that's how you get the motion of the water, is through this Mod Podge and your airbrush.
That's awesome. So yeah, check out the Twitter announcement for this, because it's I'll put those pictures. That's what you actually took a picture of, was the board overall, but mainly you focused on the waterfall for me because I was fascinated from a distance. So you made some good use of the time that you had. What about professionally with Geek Nation Tours? So as everybody listening knows, 2020 the world shut down. There was no travel, right? And I mean, unless you were, like some sort of government official that needed to get from one point to another, there really was almost nothing going on, and certainly not leisure travel. So what do you do when you own the premier gamer leisure travel company and the whole world shuts down?
Yeah, well, you stay home is what you do.
You learn how to do water with Mod Podge.
It was good, and as you said, I had time to game, I had time to paint. But one of the biggest things is I revamped my tour, my site, and it took me a long time. It took me basically a year just to do that. So I took a little bit of time off at the beginning just to go, oh my God, this is happening.
Yep.
And then I said, okay, well, if this is happening, I'm going to take advantage of this time. And I think that's the biggest thing that we did at GNT, is took advantage of the time that we were given. And I took the time to revamp my entire site, and which was really good for me because I was traveling a lot prior. I might even been traveling too much prior, quite frankly. And I didn't have time to revamp any of these tours and rewrite all these tours, because we rewrite our tours every time. So I did that. I revamped all the tours, and took the time to revamp the site itself. So that's basically what I filled my time with, was reconstructing Geek Nation Tours, rethinking my schedule, how hard I work, that kind of thing also, but mostly a lot of soul searching too, for sure, which was great. I mean, always more money coming in is better, of course, for everyone, right? We managed to weather the storm quite well. There's a lot of people that were in way worse circumstances than I was, but I managed to actually capitalize on the time that the pandemic gave us.
Awesome. Now, so Chicago just happened. Adepticon just happened. Was that all? Was Adepticon planned before, or was that? Was there anything new that you did with Adepticon? Yeah,
Adepticon, basically, I just shunted it forward each year. Like I said, okay, well, we'll try in 2021, and like, okay, that didn't work, so we're going to try in 2022. And for some people, obviously, it didn't work for 2022 either. Trepidation or whatever reasons, and so 2023 Adepticon is going to be quite large, I think, also.
And then, so what are the tours that you have all locked in now from this new generation of tours that you were building? I know you just did one Star Trek convention in Chicago. You love Chicago. Went back for the pizza, I think.
I did. Yeah.
And there's you've got what's the one coming up at the end of April, because it was fascinating to me.
Right. Well, I am going at the end of April. I'm going on a not a tour, but a scout. So I'm going to Wasteland Weekend's second event. So Wasteland Weekend, I don't know if you know, but it is a post-apocalyptic LARP.
Right. It's like Burning Man for geeks, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's like Mad Max. It's Mad Max completely. If you go there, you are immersed into Mad Max. Sometimes it feels like you are actually in the apocalypse. Like it absolutely feels like that style of an apocalypse.
Right, which is great if there's a home for you to go home to at the end of the weekend.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly it. Because you don't get the hellish nature of it, you get the Mad Max nature of it.
Right. Okay,
right?
So
everybody's not doing too well, and it's awful, but it's not, how it probably really would be.
And it's not like the Fire Festival or anything like that either. It's,
that's right.
Okay. So this
but at the end of the month, I'm going to their new event called Neotropolis, and it's a cyberpunk version of the same.
Really?
So I'll be scouting that to see whether or not we can do a tour to that one.
So scouting is Teras speak for I'm just going to go and have fun.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
You earned it.
Yeah. It's going to be. Well, it's really strange because I mean, I didn't travel for over 2 years, and now within a month's time, like not March or April, but if you include March and April, the end of April, I've traveled. I've traveled 3 times to the United States alone. So, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
But I don't have another tour really planned until in the fall. Our RPG tour to Lake Geneva, which again I would fly into Chicago, which is fun.
Okay.
And that is a amazing tour itself. Yeah. But that's the only one that we have planned this year.
Okay, cool. So why don't you talk a little bit about, so you've got your tours and you revamped the website, and you have your regular tours that go on a regular basis.
Right.
How did you approach the tours that weren't gathering as much momentum maybe?
Yeah. So what I've done is I've created a new type of tour category called a tour starter. And basically what that does is I build the tour as it was in the past, give it kind of faux dates, and just give a general outline of each day. Yeah. So it's basically the tour of the past, revamped, made pretty, but put into this new category called tour starter. Yeah. And what a tour starter is that it's the opportunity for guests or tour participants to build the tour that they want. So, for instance, if we have a Doctor Who tour, I've got it all lined out, but then we start with where do you want to go? What would make your Doctor Who tour the best tour possible? Right. Should we go to London? Should we do Scotland? Where should we stop? How long should it be? What dates do you want to be? So the tour participants get to decide get to help build the tour with me. Right. So yeah, I think it gives people a sense of ownership and participation into the tour itself, and allows them to say, you know what, if I'm on this tour, I really want to see this as part of it.
Right. And at the same time, with your guidance, I think that's what the key part is, that it's building on the bones of a successful tour, right?
That's right. And what I do from there is I say, okay, well, now that we've done this, let's go through the detail of each day. So we go through the details of each day. And again, the participants get to do that. There's a round of voting. And then after the voting, I say, this is what we're going to do. And this is what the vote gave us. This is what I suggest we do with that. So my experience as a tour operator, I say, well, you know what, we can't really do that this day, but we can shunt it into the next day or move it to the next day. But you have to do this because of the logistics of getting to point A or point B, for instance.
Right. So I, just because I'm sort of like a negative sort of guy. So let's say I wanted to join a tour, and I don't know about anything about where I'm going, so I'm a little nervous. And I'm a little nervous about vacation by committee. So all these jamokes who've never been there either, they're all voting on stuff. But you are kind of like there the whole time, guiding the process. And like you said, with all of your experience, you're saying like, well, you know, those two things are 300 miles away from each other, so we're not going to be able to do one at lunch and one at dinner, sort of thing.
Exactly. That's what my role is to be the voice of logic, which is crazy for me to say that, I guess.
That is kind of scary.
The voice of the actual logistics, I guess, is probably that's my biggest voice. My voice is to say that this is not possible, but this is.
Right.
And if this is an option, if you really want to go to point A, really want to go to point A, let's find out how many other people will go to point A, want to go to point A.
Yeah.
And so we do have to vote. I mean, it's a democracy, right?
Yep.
So it's going to be, sometimes people won't get exactly what they want. Like if we're in Scotland or where, if like Stonehenge, I guess is a good example. Let's just say, if Stonehenge is a little bit off the beaten track.
Yeah.
If we can get there, then great. But if it's so far off the beaten track that it's going to interfere with the rest of the days on a specific tour, then we're gonna have to leave Stonehenge out of it.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So
awesome. So speaking of tour starters, we have something of an announcement here to make today. And that is the tour starter for the battlefields of the Civil War and Gettysburg. What's going on with that one?
Yeah, so that tour has been done before. We definitely loved the times that I've loved the times that I spent in the area, and we go from anywhere. We go from Manassas to Antietam to Harper's Ferry. And to Gettysburg itself, but we're hoping that you might help lead this one, take over this. Yes,
Teras,
would you be able to do that?
Teras, I'm honored. That's so nice of you to think of me. Of course I would. That would be great. So Teras has allowed me to kind of step in and help with the battlefields of the Civil War, the Gettysburg tour, and I'm already watching all the movies.
Awesome.
With the website, Hollywood versus History websites up and running, so I know if there's something egregious that I'm seeing. So that is going to be something I'm really looking forward to, and that is a tour starter also. So once we get a few people signed up, which you could sign up for that now by going to geeknationtours.com, click on the tours button, and I think it's on the third page, is it?
Yep.
And,
it's deep in.
Yep, it's deep in there because it's next year, not this coming year, and it's in the summertime. And the way that Teras sucked me in the last, although I was all in already, that's the same time as a big reenactment, right?
Yep, that's right. We do the yearly reenactment, assuming that COVID hasn't changed things. And I haven't seen any indication that is the case. That reenactment is definitely part of the tour too, and it's an amazing experience for sure.
I cannot wait. I'm really looking forward to it. So if it sounds like it's something interesting to you, or if you know anybody who's interested, you can go to Geek Nation Tours. You can sign up. There's no cost for signing up to a tour starter. So you can be part of building it, and then the more ownership you have, the more interested you're theoretically and hopefully going to be. So I'm looking forward to that, and thank you very much for this offer, this spontaneous offer, Teras. I can't tell people how surprised and excited I am, but for real, I've been very excited. I can't wait to do that. I've been down in that region a couple times, but I've never done the battlefields, so I'm really looking forward to that. And that's actually the first miniature gaming I ever did with the Norwich University Tactics Society was Johnny Reb. So I believe that was they were putting together a giant Gettysburg reenactment battle. That was the first thing that I ever did at Norwich in the gaming club. So I'm excited. So thank you for that. Are there any other tours coming up there or tour?
Well, let's before we move on to that. Okay, you're completely correct that there's no. Oh
yes, do the details.
No deposit necessarily for becoming part of the tour starter. You just sign up, and then as soon as we get a critical mass of people, then we start to build the tour. Again, we start to build the tour together. But what's great about this one is that you and I will both be involved in it also. So with those people that are thinking or listening to this podcast and want to be involved with you building the tour, it's an interaction with the great Craig Gallant also.
I don't know him.
Feel free to,
the great one I don't know, but yeah.
Feel free to jump in there. So,
and I'm sure we'll be doing some gaming on that one as well. So that should be a blast. What other tour starters do you have in the pipeline? Like what kind of things are people
other tour starters?
Yeah,
themselves?
people that are looking that they can look in and start
Sure.
building.
Well, we mentioned the Doctor Who one, right?
Yep.
And of course, we got Harry Potter. We got a couple other historical tours. I believe we have got a space one that I'm actually working on with someone else on right now. One to Japan called Comiket, which is an interesting convention in Japan. Sherlock Holmes and Sparta and Greece. So there's a large limited. I think I have 28 tours now on offer. So yeah, there's the page has never been as full as it is now.
No. If those all go, you're never going to see your house.
Yeah, that's right. You might as well just pack my bags and say adios. So.
Just carry some pictures.
But we do have a couple other ones that are actual. So from tour starters, once we get it built, it turns into a now booking or pre-registration open or that kind of thing.
Yep.
But we do have a few that are open. We have Gen Con that's open, for instance, our Gen Con tour, which is actually we stay in a house and I cook for everyone. So It's got that. Yeah, it's got that mom vibe. I'm the mom. You can get together with all your friends and game, and I'll feed you full of apple pie and steak and chips and pop and everything. So that's a cool one. And we've got a couple Japanese ones, Sekigahara, for instance, and so check it out. I would even love to go back to Estonia one day, although I'm not sure if currently that's.
I think maybe let things settle down there for a little bit.
Yeah, I think we need to have it. Yeah. Unfortunately, let it settle down there.
But is there anything in particular? Like, I haven't looked into Gen Con yet. Is there anything in particular that they've got this year that's interesting or that you're looking forward to?
Our tour is actually not for this year. It's for 2023. Oh, okay. The participants said that they didn't want to go quite so soon. So again, that's how this works. They get a vote on when it actually goes. I would have went this year, I think, especially since I had my experience at Adepticon. Right. But the vast bulk of the people that were booked on the Gen Con tour said, no, let's just move it to 2023. So it's not until 2023. All things being equal, it'll be a great event because we'll have Graham McNeil doing Cthulhu, the Call of Cthulhu for us. Wow. So he's great on the tour.
That's crazy. That's right there worth the price of admission.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, cool. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you've got some more water features you probably want to be working on. And you mentioned something about accounting, but then that just blurs out of my head because that's too
right,
real world. And
I wish you could blur them out of mine.
Yeah, well, no, you don't, because then your business would shut down.
That's right.
So we mentioned geeknationtours.com. Is there anywhere else people can look for news and what Teras is up to?
Yeah, you can go to Geek Nation Tours Facebook page, or you can just email me at headgeek@geeknationtours.com. I'm always happy to answer any questions and help you travel to where you want to go.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Gary.
Bye, Teras.
And that was the D6G Hot Take.
Achievement unlocked! You've made it to the end of another D6 Generation episode, the podcast whose humor has universally been acclaimed as not too horrible. Please let us know what you thought of the show by emailing us at info@the d6generation.com. If for some inexplicable reason you actually enjoyed this show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. Thanks for listening and happy gaming.